Hi and welcome to ThreatTraq Essentials. We're going to take a look at some basic everyday cybersecurity lessons that we can learn from this week's ThreatTraq stories. I'm here with Joe Harton. You were on the show this week. Welcome, Joe.
Thanks.
Let's talk about some of the stories this week. The first one Ganesh brought to us. There was a study done about DDoS attacks. We talk about DDoS attacks a lot on the show. Tell me what trends are emerging.
So interesting. This was a full year of trends for DDoSes, but the Kaspersky Labs published some of the cyclical changes. So typically we hadn't seen as much DDoS activity on weekends, and this report showed that actually Sunday is the biggest day of DDoS attacks, from weekends in general being higher. So that was really interesting. Personally, I think that relates back to the sort of the accessibility of DDoSes for almost the common man. You know, with DDoS for hire, DDoS for services, almost anybody can rent a DDoS to take out their gaming opponent, or take down a gambling site. Whereas it's not, I think years ago DDoS was really reserved to, botnet controllers, people who really had...
It's more specialized.
Right, people who had a more of a massive computing power behind them. But this is, this is showing us that it's more the common man that can run a DDoS.
So we're learning that security is a 24/7 concern.
Absolutely.
These attacks can be done by anyone. What other advice do we want to give people here?
Just be careful, whether you're the victim of a DDoS or if you're potentially being recruited to be a participant. So somebody whose machine is being compromised to be part of a denial of service. You really have to be careful that you could be affected in several different ways from DDoS activity.
And John Markley had a story about ThreatTraq, which was a app that was removed from the Google Play Store. Tell me about that.
So it's not TikTok, right? Which I think we've heard different security.
Which could be a red flag right there,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I mean, although it's not this isn't an app purporting to be TikTok, which sometimes we see these sort of fake apps that want you to download them, but this is an established or previously used mobile app that it's used for communications. So it basically allows for free communications, but the app stores took it down because of privacy concerns. So imagine the situation is that the app developers think they're using the data they get from collecting this communication information, using it properly, and the privacy concerns are greater than they admit to. So it's one of those things where you really got to be careful what apps you're using. Sometimes if something's free, it's not really free.
In terms of advice, like protecting our privacy when using an app, whether it's this one or any app, we all have a choice in that, don't we?
Yeah, you got to be careful what apps you're using, how you're using them, what settings, and are you sharing your location? Are you are you using default credentials? Are you, I know some of my security colleagues will create a fake profile to use an app just to really ensure. I think one of my colleagues gets mail sometimes from a fake name he uses online. So you have to be careful what you're sharing, how you're using what you're using. But I think the biggest thing is just if something isn't from a reputable source and it's free, I don't know, there's too many red flags there for me.
And lastly, you brought us a story about Emotet. We talked about Emotet a few weeks ago, that there was a warning that we may see more activity with Emotet. Yep. Sure enough, we have that. Kids, that's why you watch ThreatTraq, to get these warnings in advance. So tell me about this new Emotet.
Yes, this is interesting. For the folks who don't know, Emotet is a strand of malware that started as a banking Trojan. So it was sort of internal, a hidden Trojan that would steal banking credentials. Well, now it's that same malware being used to scan insecure Wi-Fi connections. So on your phone or your computer, when you see how many Wi-Fi connections are available, if you're not securing your connection, this Trojan will actually ping each connection, check to see if it's insecure, if it's using default username and password, and run it against a known list, and then go the next step and look for insecure network shares. So really, it's able to distribute the malicious code 2 layers down.
So once again, we're seeing that malware is always evolving, always changing. How do we protect ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, we do see that. We see what we call variants, so different flavors of the same malware. And, the way to protect yourself is to, just all the hygiene that we talk about, security hygiene, using strong passwords and not reusing passwords. If you're setting up your Wi-Fi connection, set it up with encryption, the strongest encryption that's available to you. Don't automatically connect to networks and prompt for connection to certain Wi-Fi, and really take that seriously. And I also think this is a case where we talk about use a strong password and protect your network, but this is a case where this malware is directly exploiting an area where we commonly say be smart, create your network in a safe manner with strong protections, and this malware will go find that insecure Wi-Fi connection, and it will see what's connected there, and then it's going to be in your network or in anything that you can connect to. So it's a good example of we told you.
Right, it's a great lesson here, a case in point. Well, thanks for being on the show, Joe.
Absolutely.
And thank you all for watching. As always, please like our videos and subscribe to them below. And if you want to take a deeper dive into these stories, you can click on the playlist and see the full stories on this week's Threat Track. Thanks for watching.